Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aylin, and today we are going to be doing my goals for 2024. That is weird to say. We're doing this Chandler Ainsley style in my car because I don't have anywhere else to film it. The video that I was going to post today was going to be a vlog, but I hated pretty much any and all of the clips that I had. Like, it just couldn't make it work. It wasn't that good, and I'm sick of posting quantity over quality. Like, I want to be consistent, but I also want the videos to be good. So scrapped that video, doing this a week early. I do have a couple of other vlogs that I'm working on, so you will see something soon. But anyway, 2024 reading, channel, and writing goals. Let's get into it. I wrote it all down, super old-fashioned. We're just gonna go through it. When I wrote this down, I actually titled it Reading, Writing, and Creative Goals, which I kind of like more. So we'll go with that. I also think it's important to note before starting this, sorry for so much minutia before the actual video. I know that's annoying, but I do think that this is worthwhile and important to say. I've seen a lot of content, like on TikTok and Reels and stuff, saying that New Year's resolutions are kind of out. So I guess these are my like ins and outs for the year. And I would agree with that because, like, realistically, you're not going to start a brand new leaf over just because it's a new year. Like, you're not going to become a brand new person overnight. So I am fully aware of that, but these are things that are more so like habits, which is how I've always tried to like kind of make my goals. The other thing is that they need to be sustainable and attainable. So these are things that like I know are well within my wheelhouse. I can do these things. It just requires me to put a little bit of effort in, which is what I was lacking last year, and that prevented me from like hitting my goals. All that being said, let's get into it. The first one, how many books do I want to read this year? Last year, I set it pretty high. I set it at like 120 or something, I think. In my head, I really wanted 144, 12 books a month. That's a lot. Could I do it? Yes, but that wouldn't leave me tons of time for anything else, especially because I'm now like out of the habit of reading, so my reading pace is a little bit slower. How many books do I want to read this month or this year? 75. I think that's definitely attainable. I think that's high. Last year I only read 38. It's not bad. For me though, I know I'm capable of more. I have done more easily. I just neglected reading a lot and it didn't make me happy. So that's another thing, is that with all of these goals or ins and outs, I am trying to prioritize my mental health by doing them, and I know that these are things that are going to make me feel better. The next one is a creative one. I really want to make content that I'm passionate about, despite views. I have been wanting to make a video where I just sit down and like read some of my favorite quotes from books, and I haven't done it because I don't think it's gonna do that well. But that literally shouldn't matter because it's a video that I am so excited and passionate about. And the thing with YouTube is that yes, I want it to grow. Yes, I want it to be like more consistent and whatever, because I genuinely love it. And if I can like make something from it, that's awesome. And I want to see if I'm capable of doing that. I want to push myself in that way. But the thing with YouTube is that if you're passionate about what you're doing and what you're talking about, people are going to want to see that. That's what people like seeing. So the views will come. Even if that one particular video doesn't do amazing or the way that you want it to, if it made you happy, that is all that matters. And eventually people who are like-minded and enjoy your presence are going to play those videos. So regardless, it's still quality over quantity because the relationship and the viewership is going to be more authentic. Any comments that I get, there's going to be more of a connection there, and that is far more important than just putting out stuff that I don't care about and might not do that well just for the sake of like having a video. So I'd rather like skip a week if I have to, or be a few days late on a post, than either not post something at all or post a really crappy video on time. So with that, I really need to pre-plan, and I have plenty of ideas for this year. They're gonna take some time, so I might have like quick sit-down videos, like recommendations or things like that, that still require planning but not nearly as much as like a dedicated reading vlog or whatever, because I do have some really cool ideas for those that I think are fun, that I'm looking forward to filming, and I think they're going to be fun to make and also entertaining for you guys to watch. I need to like find a balance, and one of my goals for this coming month is to sit down, plan my time out, kind of time block everything and see how all of that is going to fit in. Another thing that I'm trying to do is go step by step with these things, add things on instead of trying to put everything on my plate all at once, because that is too much for anyone. This year, I want to have a buying limit. I only want to purchase 40 books, which is approximately how many I read last year. My TBR is huge. Like, anytime people ask me how many of the books I've read on, like, that I physically own, I don't want to like tell them, because I own a lot of books that I haven't read. And we'll get to like DNFing and unhauling in a minute, but I'm only going to allow myself to buy 40 books. This is not including any books that I might receive as gifts or whatever, because I can't really control that. And if people want to buy me books, then I'm going to let them. I myself am only going to purchase 40 books, partly because I want to like be better with my money, be a little bit more frugal this year. I have some financial goals that I really want to meet. Also, I didn't read much last year, and so buying books just kind of feels frivolous, especially if I'm not reading the ones that I already have, or I'm not reading as much in general. Like, it doesn't sit well with me. So 40 books for the year, I think, is more than fair for myself. Another goal of mine is to finish 3 book series, or like be caught up. So if like the 4th book hasn't come out yet, I'm going to count me having finished what is out as finishing a series. I don't know, this is just one of my goals every single year, to make sure that I'm not like in the middle of series and then putting them down, which I have a big tendency of doing, and I find quite annoying, because then I have to go back and reread books 1, 2, and whatever in order to get to the 3rd or 4th book that I was on. I find that super frustrating and annoying, because it almost feels like a waste of time. Like, I got this far in for what? I understand taking a break, a couple month break if that's what I need, but 2 years? Unacceptable. As I said, we're coming back to the DNFs. I have a really bad habit, and I've touched on this before, where I will start a book, get halfway through, put it down for literally no reason, and then just never finish it again, and it's sitting there as my currently reading, either on my Goodreads or just like in the back of my head as, oh, I'm halfway through that book, and then not finishing it. Like, this year I'm either going to finish my current read, DNF it, or like completely set it aside, forget that I'm midway through it until I'm ready to commit to it again, because I cannot just have 60 books that I'm in the middle of. Like, that's also so overwhelming. I think it's fine to be in the middle of an audiobook, ebook, and paperback, or like physical book. That's fine, because they're all different formats. I'm gonna limit it to like 4 books. I'm gonna make that rule, that I can be in the middle of, because I am a huge mood reader, right? So like, I might want to pick up a thriller, I might want a romance, a poetry, something smutty, or like fantasy or whatever, for different moods. But I can't do like 3 fantasies, 2 like, that's so much. I mentioned writing. I need to make writing a priority this year. I was interested, and I like dipped my toe into it last year, but I didn't really prioritize it, and I don't like that, especially because if I want to be an author one day, I have to like be serious about it, be diligent about it, plan accordingly. It's also just such a good outlet, and again, super good for my mental health personally. Writing is super cathartic for me, whether it be like journaling how I felt that day or writing something completely fictional. It just helps me to like clear my head with all of the overthinking and anxious thoughts that I get. I put out my first writing vlog, I think it was my last video, which wasn't the greatest, not my best video in general, I will admit. But I also know that if I'm gonna put out a video like that where it's not the greatest, it's for a reason. If I didn't post that one, I probably wouldn't like have the motivation to continue posting them, which is fine, but then knowing that I'm going to create that content also means that I have to write in order to create that content. And for me, I want to post like a writing vlog a month-ish. I think that would be good and something realistic, at least for the first half of the year. So I really want to do that. I want to be posting them pretty consistently, once a month or so, maybe every 5-6 weeks, whatever it is. But if I hadn't posted that one, I probably wouldn't have had like the motivation to be like, okay, like it's been a week at this point, so you only have 3 more weeks to start writing and creating and whatever. And sometimes you have to force yourself into that creative thing, because it's not that I don't have any ideas. Like, that well is full. I'm just like nervous and scared, and that's totally valid. But again, people who are successful with the things that they love doing, like, it's not always easy for you to start them, especially if you're super passionate about it, because you're probably going to be scared that you're going to fail, and nobody wants that. I want to be more consistent with writing, and I think writing vlogs are going to help me do that, so that's kind of like a paired goal. But I want to take it seriously. I want to take it as like, at minimum, a part-time job, but a job nonetheless, so that I can get it going and hopefully have some type of career in that later, or find out that I absolutely hate it, knock it off the table, and then I never have to wonder what if. Another thing is like part of a series of vlogs that I want to do on my channel this year, and that is to read outside of my comfort zone, but within the books that are on my TBR shelves. I have a bunch of books that I've purchased that I'm like, oh, this sounds really cool. It's unlike anything that I've ever read, and that's great, but then I don't end up reading them. So like, what was the point? So I'm going to do hopefully a series this year on my channel where I read books that are outside of my comfort zone but on my TBR shelves, kind of shop my shelves a little bit, just expand my reading horizons, see if it's something that I enjoy, see if it's something that I hate, and then I know never to buy those books again, or buy more of them. Maybe it's something that I really, really love. It'll be like a new favorite subgenre or whatever. So that's just another kind of like goal in order to help me read more within the books that I already own. The goal that I have every single year is to read more diversely. Last year, given the amount of books and like the ratio of it, I believe I did pretty well, or like better than I've done in past years, like percentage wise, not like numerical value with diversity, but this can always be better. I can always read like from different voices, so just read more diversely, continue to like put effort into that. So obviously that's super important and a huge part of why I read. Like, it helps me to better understand and be a more empathetic person. And I've definitely noticed over the last year, I have not been very empathetic at all, and I think a big part of that is because I'm not reading. I know that a big thing for reading, or people who read, are typically more empathetic because you're reading from the points of view of different characters or real people if you're reading like a memoir, because this goes for that too, where you understand like their way of thinking, and maybe you don't necessarily agree with it. It's not the way that you would do things, but you're like, okay, I see where the motivation is coming from. I don't agree with it, but now I understand why you're doing this. And then you see someone in the real world and you're like, I would never do that. And before you judge them, you can sit there and go, but maybe something else is happening, type of thing. So I think it makes you a more patient and empathetic person, and I need to be better about that. And obviously reading diversely helps with that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, focusing more on my physical TBR, because I have so many books that I haven't read on my shelves and I hate it. The other thing, really quickly, is that I want to be more consistent, because last year I was super unhappy, and not super unhappy, like good things happened in life, but I didn't feel myself. And I think a big part of that is that I didn't have this, I wasn't taking part in this, and that also made me unhappy with myself. Like, I was already unhappy because I didn't have my creative outlet, I didn't feel like myself, but then like the guilt of not doing this made me even more unhappy. So didn't like that, want to change that. That is why I want to be consistent. I also mentioned at the very end of my last video, if you saw that, something recently happened. Someone recently passed away that was in my family, and that was very difficult, and it's just another layer of motivation to continue. So if I'm unable to post something or need a little break, I'm going to communicate that to you instead of just disappearing, because it feels rude, honestly. My camera battery is flashing once again, so I've clearly talked too long. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope you're doing well reading mentally and otherwise. Let me know down in the comments below what some of your goals or ins and outs are for 2024. I would love to know, and I really hope to see y'all in my next video very, very soon. Bye guys!